Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I certainly appreciate you taking time out of your day. And we're going to talk about today, and this is a real good topic, actually, is fat. Now, not being fat, but eating fat. Because there's so many misconceptions about fat. And so many people come to me pretty much every day with questions. Is it good fat? Is it bad fat? Should I eat fat? No fat? High fat? Low fat? Saturated fat? Cholesterol? So we're going to clear it all up today. And you're going to know that you have to eat more fat, most likely, not less. But you probably have to change the type of fat that you're eating because bad fat can cause some real serious damage to your body and can actually accelerate diseases like, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, osteoporosis, dementia. And I go crazy pretty much on a daily basis because I watch what people are eating, especially in certain situations. Like, for example, I've seen fundraisers trying to raise money for cancer research. And what are they selling? Cake. Donuts, cookies. My gosh, it's like the worst thing you can give somebody with cancer is sugar. And here we are selling sugar to raise money to research why people have cancer and what we can do to help them not have cancer. So it doesn't make any sense to me. And the reasoning is so many times people just assume you have a disease. I have cancer. I have heart disease. I have dementia. You do have it, but I ask my patients this all the time. Did you ever ask the question why? Why do you have arthritis? Why do you have osteoporosis? No, never really thought about it. I just got diagnosed with it, and I want to know what to do about it. So until you know why you have a problem, you can't treat it. Once you get to the cause of the problem, then you can try to fix the cause, and then you get rid of the problem. I'm a chiropractor. I'm board certified in chiropractic, orthopedics, pain management, double board certified in nutrition. That's 5 board certifications. BS in clinical nutrition. I'm an award-winning author. My radio shows are syndicated nationally and heard all over the world. And I've been in practice over 32 years. So there's very few things I haven't seen in all these years and the thousands, tens of thousands of patients I've seen. And when a patient comes into our offices, we have one goal. Find out why they have the problem and then determine if there's a way to work on it to get it fixed. And fats are a big player. Because so many people come into my offices with neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, arthritis, cancer, acid reflux, and irritable bowel disease. And no one ever said stop causing it. So the right fats, if you eat the right fats, they can cause glowing skin. Bad ones can make you look old and wrinkled. I run into people my age. I look at, I meet up with people sometimes, through Facebook from high school and college, and I look at a lot of them and I go, wow, time has not been your friend, has it? And the reason is they've caused it. I grew up in the same area that they did. I grew up with the same upbringing. But what slowed down my aging process and what sped up their aging process is the choices that they made. So among the signs you're not getting enough high-quality fats are dry, itchy skin, scaly skin, flaky skin. And so we need to get the good fats in your body. Now, let's get the bad ones out of the way first. Studies show that something called trans fats, which are found a lot in vegetable oils and processed foods, create something called oxidative damage. It's kind of like they rust your cells. And that provides a surefire way to speed up the aging process. That damaging fats if you have scrambled eggs and you leave them on a buffet for too long. Even eggs, when you cook them, and studies have been shown, and don't do this, but the less you cook the egg, the better the fats are. Because whenever you heat a fat, you change the molecular structure. Now, some fats heat better than others. Coconut oil heats well, for example. So you got to be careful what you're cooking with, too. So you have to eat the good fats, but if you cook a fat and let it sit out for a long time, it's going to create something called free radicals. Now, free radicals are like Pac-Man. They attack the body, waka, 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 and they eat through your cells. And if we eat through the cell walls, the cells become damaged. And if you damage enough cells, they try to reproduce them. And if they can't produce fast enough, sometimes we produce them and they're not good quality cells. Kind of put them on an assembly line and you're pumping out cells that just aren't as good as the generation before. And the next generation is a little worse. And when we have abnormal cell growth, we call that cancer. Now, this is just one thing you have to worry about when it comes to cancer is exposing yourself to too many free radicals. And these bad fats cause inflammation. Now, as a chiropractor, my job is bring down your inflammation because inflammation causes pain. And every disease known to man has an inflammatory component. So we have to stop doing the things that are causing the disease to either form or exacerbate the disease. That's where you come in. That's where you have to start taking responsibility for your own health. You know, if you listen to the news, what's all over the news? Healthcare, get rid of Obamacare, Obamacare light, Trump care. What? No, they're not talking about healthcare. If you listen, they're not talking about healthcare. They're talking about insurance. Nobody in all the arguments that I've heard in the past several years about healthcare ever talks about healthcare. They all keep talking about insurance. Healthcare is you doing the right things every day to slow down and reverse certain processes that are going on in your body and to keep your body young and healthy. I say if you want to have good health, you have to have a normally functioning nervous system, a normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition. And if you listened to the show before, you know what we call that, right? Joe Obamacare. That's Joe Obamacare. So we can replace Obamacare with Joe Obamacare, and the cost of people's health care will drop dramatically because now you, the patient, are taking control of your own health. As a chiropractor, I want to make sure your bones are lined up properly. I want to make sure you don't have muscle spasms, pinching nerves, but you have control of your environment. You have control of your food. You have control of things you're exposing yourself to on a daily basis. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. I'm going to open up the phone lines. If you have a healthcare question, pretty much on anything, not just fats, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, 24 hours a day, lots of good information, drjoeesposito.com, or you can just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world. Hey, folks, tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. Hey, everybody, thanks for being here. Do appreciate that. We're talking today about fat, the good fats, the bad fats, the ugly fats, and so many of us need to have more fat in our diet, not less. And we keep going to things like low-fat diet. Oh, that has a lot of calories in it. And this is interesting because when I went to school a couple hundred years ago, we learned that if you have a gram of carbohydrates is 3 calories and a gram of protein is 3 calories and a gram of fat is 9 calories. So we would think, okay, well, we had to stay away from the fats because the more calories we put in our body, the more we gain weight. Well, that's not necessarily true. Because when you put sugar in your body, you put sugar in your body, if whatever it is goes into glucose, unless it already is glucose. Glucose is used as fuel. Glucose then is stored as glycogen if all your cells have enough fuel and you still have sugar in your body. Once the glycogen store places are filled up, it converts into triglycerides, which gets stored as fat. Well, fats don't do that. So the thing we learned about the calories wasn't necessarily true. Now, yeah, you shouldn't put a whole lot of calories in your body. It's funny now, if I read articles in the journals and they call it energy. Instead of calories, it's called energy. Well, it's still calories. And it is energy. It's how much energy it takes to burn up the calories. So we're talking about fats and bad fats that cause inflammation. So studies confirm essential and non-essential fatty acids play separate and critical roles in proper body function. They're monounsaturated fats, omega-3 fats, and even they're good and bad saturated fats. So saturated fats is how the molecules are bound together. It's a lot of chemistry. If I had a whiteboard here, I'd draw it for you, but you can't see me. I'm on a radio. So let's start with avocados. Avocados, these are like the rock stars of fat. Rich in monounsaturated fats, they're pretty much pretty awesome. They have something in it called carotenoids. Now, these are antioxidants that give avocados their color, and they can actually help you look younger. Because remember we said free radicals attack the body. They're like Pac-Man. They eat through things. And as a chiropractor, I don't want your cartilage and your connective tissue being eaten away. Because if my team of doctors and I give you the best chiropractic care in the world and you get amazing adjustments, but you're exposing yourself to free radicals, you're not going to be able to keep the bones in place, and you're not going to get the results that you're hoping for. You're not getting all the results you're hoping for, I should say. And so many times patients come to me and they'll say, well, doc, I want to get chiropractic care. That's great, but I also want to do a nutritional evaluation on you. Because it's not just about the nutrition. It's about you doing the right things to get better results. Makes us look good. So you want good results. We want good results. We're going to work together on it. Study found that the antioxidants lutein and zeaxanthin in avocados protect your skin from damage from both ultraviolet and visible radiation. Well, isn't that cool? So if we're eating avocados, we're going to be less likely to have damage from the sun. And it's a fruit, by the way. It's not a vegetable. It's a fruit. It's loaded with fiber, and it's also loaded with potassium. Not a lot of things have a lot of potassium, so it's a great source of potassium. So you can slice it, put it in a salad, make guacamole. Avocados are really versatile. Now, there's good fats and there's bad fats, and avocados are some of the best you can eat. Now, I like avocados. Some people don't. I can't imagine you wouldn't because I like them. You should like everything I like. But there's different ways you can eat it. What I do is I just cut it in half, take the pit out, add a little salt. Sometimes I'll even add olive oil to it. And then I'll just scoop it out of the shell and eat it. I remember the first time I had avocados. I grew up Italian, so we never had avocados. And I was at college, and my friend Frank, him and his wife are old hippies. He was 15 years older than me, so he's really old. He was in his 30s, so he's really old. And I remember him and his wife eating tofu and avocados and sprouts, and I thought, you dudes are so weird. And now I've made a lifetime career out of this. Isn't that interesting? So all that hippie stuff and all those weird foods that everybody was making fun of for years has now become mainstream. And avocados being one of them. By the way, this is what's neat about eating good fats too, is you feel full. Because if you ate a salad and you didn't put oil on it, you're not going to feel very full. If you put oil on a salad or avocados or nuts, you're going to feel full. But the other thing we want fats for, you want to be able to absorb your nutrients properly. The 4 nutrients we have to worry about with fats are vitamin A, D, E, and K. Those are fat soluble. Actually, vitamin D is a hormone, not a fat, but we call it not a vitamin, but we call it a vitamin. And you need fat to absorb it. So if you're eating a salad that's low fat or no fat dressing, you're not able to absorb the nutrients like you're supposed to. So it's really important you understand that you need fat in your diet. And so I created something called Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, and we even add some good fats to them. Now, if you've never had Super Greens and Essential Source, I have it sitting in front of me right here. It's the minimum amount of nutrients you should be taking every day. So it's powders. I take a scoop of each. I mix it. I don't do animal products, so I do coconut milk or almond milk. Put it in a jar, shake it up, and drink it every day. Now, if I have a big day, if I'm going hiking, if I'm like I did a couple of big radio shows this week and big lectures, I'll take 2 doses a day. And patients that are really sick, I'll even have them take 3 times a day, just to get those nutrients into their body because their body is so depleted in nutrition. But in the in the super greens, we add chlorella and spirulina, which are algae, which have the good omega-3s in them. We'll talk about omega-3s a little later, but you have to understand there's good omega-3s, and there's bad omega-3s. And there's plant-based omega-3s, and there's algae-based omega-3s. And even though I'm a vegan, I understand you're probably going to need to take more omega-3s from an algae source, which is still a plant-based source, but the things like flax seeds and hemp seeds, it's omega-3, but it's in a different form, not the kind you need. So I'm going to tease you a little bit, make you stay tuned to that. Extra virgin olive oil. I'm Italian, got to talk about olive oil. Monounsaturated fat, this stuff is great. One study found olive oil reduced premature skin aging, and which is triggered by exposure to ultraviolet radiation. So this is why people that are out in the sun a lot look all weathered. Well, if you're eating good fats, they don't have these problems. And that may be something you've never thought of. But if you ever go down into the islands or closer to the equator, these people are bombarded with sun all day, every day. Now, chances are they're dark-skinned. But why don't they wrinkle? Why don't they look weather-beaten? A lot of it has to do with the fact they're eating good fats, things like avocados. And so the good fats are actually help protecting their skin. It's kind of like internal sunscreen, if you would. Now, you can use olive oil to cook with, but I want you to make sure you have good quality olive oil, and here's how you know. Take the olive oil you have from the grocery store, don't even open it, put it in your refrigerator. Leave it overnight. If it gets cloudy and thick, it's a good quality olive oil. But so many companies now are being busted for selling pure extra virgin organic olive oil, and it's not. So if it gets thick and cloudy, it's a good quality one. If it's not, chances are it's been cut with cheaper oils, and you don't want that. Because if you're doing things like omega-6 fatty acids, corn oil, soybean oil, this can cause inflammation in the body. And we don't want inflammation in the body. And so a lot of people are eating these corn oils and vegetable oils and making their conditions substantially worse, all conditions, because it causes inflammation. We should have a ratio of 1 omega-3 to 1 omega-6 in our body, maybe 3 omega-6s to 1 omega-3. Most Americans have about 20 omega-6s to 1 omega-3. And omega-6s cause inflammation, and omega-3s help reduce inflammation. Omega-3s help the brain work better. They help the immune system. So we need to get those omega-3s in the body, and I'm going to talk about how to get them a little later. Folks, got to go to break. If you have a healthcare question, the phone lines are open, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DR-JOE. My website, if you want to get Super Greens, Essential Source, if you want to order my books, Eating Right for the Health of It and Prescription for Extreme Health, all on the website, drjoeesposito.com. We archive hundreds of hours of radio shows as well. Those are on the website. They're free. Videos of my lectures, those are all free on the website. Website's a great source of information. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. Friends about the show. Hey, folks, thanks for being here. I am Dr. Joe Esposito, talking today about fats, good fats, bad fats. And I want you to understand that you have to put the good fats in your body because so many times, and somebody just said this the other day, one of my patients, they said they got sick by eating, I was a guest on a radio show. That's right. I was a guest on somebody else's radio show. And they were saying I got sick from eating almond butter. And I said, well, that's interesting. And the host said, well, what happened was the almond butter was rancid. So even if it's good fats like avocado fats or flaxseed oil or coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, if it's gone rancid, don't eat it. And I'm guilty of this. I've already had stuff in the house. You buy it, it's on sale, you put it in the pantry, you eat it, leave it there forever, and you say, I'm going to have this today. If it doesn't taste right, don't eat it because it can cause some real serious health issues when you put these bad toxins in your body. I'm going to go to the calls. We have lots of calls today. If you have a question, 844-44 Dr. Joe. Esther, how can we make your day better?
Well, you can tell me what to do with my restless legs, the spinal stenosis, the RA, and my hypothyroidism.
Okay. All right, so the restless leg, that's all coming from the low back. It's not uncommon. I see it quite a bit. The spinal stenosis, I'm guessing, is in your low back, right?
It is.
Okay, yeah.
It's at the L4, L5, S1.
There you go. Well, I'm going to answer the question that no one ever answered for you before. Why do you have spinal stenosis? I'm going to tell you that right now.
Nobody told me that, no.
I know. That's why I'm going to tell you. If the bones in your low back are out of alignment, they rub up against each other. And as they rub up against each other, the cartilage in the area starts to wear out. And the stenosis is the canal where the spinal cord runs through. And if the bones are out of alignment, rubbing up against each other, the canal can get more narrow, and it's a form of arthritis. It's an osteoarthritis. And so the reason you have the stenosis is because the bones have been out of place for so many years. As the bones wear out and pinch the nerves, those are the nerves that go into your back, hips, legs, knees, and ankles, causing, most likely, your restless leg syndrome. So if the bones are out of alignment, we got to put the bones back in place. That would be step number one. Step number two, the nerve also controls your colon, sex organs, and bladder. So now you might see things like gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, urinary problems, sexual problems. It sounds like I read your diary, right? Because the nerves, if you have low back pain, you're going to have the gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, urinary, and sexual problems in many cases. So step number one for you, Esther, is get the bones put back in place. Okay, that would solve a lot of your restless leg syndrome, your back pain. That should help that. Now, depending how bad the degeneration is, will determine how much, what kind of results we can expect. Second question was thyroid?
Thyroid,
Hypo, okay. What happens?
Hashimoto's.
Okay. What happens many times is with hypothyroid, it was hyper at one time. And the organs get bigger when they're not working as well. And so you get a hyperthyroid, you eventually burn out your thyroid, and you crash into hypothyroid. So for someone like you, they have you on medication?
Oh, yeah, I'm on 2.0.
Okay.
Synthroid.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty high. What we want to do is try to get the thyroid as healthy as we possibly can. And there's a couple of things for this. Number one, your thyroid uses iodine. Well, all cells in your body use iodine. But you want to get the iodine working the best you possibly can. So you want to get iodine in your diet. That's why I add sea vegetables to Super Greens and Essential Source, because the sea vegetables are a source of iodine that most Americans get like zero iodine in their diet. The only iodine they get is from salt, and it's not a good source of iodine. So we got to do that. Number two, you have to stop clogging up your thyroid, because there are certain chemicals like fluorine, chlorine, and bromine that look like iodine. They're called haloids. And if a haloid is in your body, it blocks up your iodine receptor sites so you can't absorb the iodine. So even if you do get enough iodine in your diet, which you probably don't, you can't absorb it. So for someone like you, I would say absolutely no fluoride toothpastes. Get a good water filter, filter out the fluorine and the chlorine from your water, and you got to stay away from bread, because many times we use bromine as a conditioner in the bread. When you and I were kids, they used iodine and bromine look similar, act similar, so now we use bromine. It's cheaper. Well, the problem with bromine is it blocks up your iodine receptor sites, and now you can't absorb the iodine. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so that's what I would do first of all, and then if I would do a more in-depth analysis of your diet, of course, to find out what you're eating, what you're not eating, what you should be eating. But that's just some general things to start with right now.
Yeah, because I'm type 2 diabetic as well with the RA.
Aren't you a mess?
Yeah.
My goodness.
I am a mess.
Wait.
I had a doctor tell me, he says, boy, he said, you look awful good for the mess you're in.
Well, we got to get you off all your breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas for the thyroid and for the diabetes. And if you can give up all your breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas, the chances are very good that your blood sugar will start to stabilize relatively quickly.
Yeah, will it help the RA?
It should help the RA as well. Yes, because it's an inflammatory.
It hurts a lot.
That's an inflammatory condition, and what causes inflammation? What I call the 7 deadly sins: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, and the breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas. So you got to change your diet for thyroid, rheumatoid arthritis, and diabetes. And when you do that, all three of them are going to benefit from that. So why don't you just do that and see if I'm wrong?
Okay.
I dare you to prove me wrong, Esther. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right. Give that a shot.
Sounds like I'll be coming to see you.
Well, that sounds like what you need. You need us to fix that low back for you, and then we'll do a whole nutrition workup on you. Fair enough?
Yeah, because those restless legs drive you crazy.
Oh, my gosh. I have so many patients with that, I know. So, all right. Well, come see us. We'll get that fixed up for you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. So, let's see. Well, let's talk a little bit more about fats here. Okay? Coconut oil. I want to talk about coconut oil. Coconut oil just rocks. It's one of those superstars. It's like avocado oil. It's like sesame oil. These are all good things. Saturated fats. Coconut oil is a saturated fat, and that's why it's hard at room temperature. And that's how you can tell it's a saturated fat. If it's hard at room, it's 76 degrees, I think it is. Above 76, it's liquid, and below 76, it's solid. And so that one of the indications of a saturated fat, like margarine, for example. But margarine is a bad saturated fat. Coconut oil is a good saturated fat. Studies show coconut oil can treat skin infections. It can help dry skin, bacteria, funguses, viruses. There's something I do with coconut oil, aside from eating, it's called oil pulling. Oh, I'm going to have to go to break, so I'm going to keep you hanging on the oil pulling, aren't I? Oil pulling is really cool. I want you to learn about this. Years ago, it was poo-pooed, and now it's actually being taught in a lot of health schools, chiropractic and medical schools. Folks, if you have a healthcare question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. My website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world. You can order Super Greens, an essential source there. My books, you can send me questions through the website. We have archived radio shows with videos. We have a YouTube channel right there, a lot of videos there too. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. Hey, friends about. Hey, everybody, thanks for listening. I do appreciate that. You can also send me questions through through my Facebook page as well. You could just like me at Facebook/Dr. Joe Esposito. And somebody wanted to know about the Super Greens and the Essential Source. Yes, it's available on Amazon. So if you go to Amazon, you can get my Super Greens, my Essential Source. Those are supplements I think everybody should be taking, the minimum amount of nutrients that you should get in a day. They're powder forms. I mix them with coconut oil, coconut milk, or sometimes coconut oil, actually, and drink them that way, and they're just awesome. I couldn't imagine a day without them. And my books, a lot of other products are on my Facebook, on my website, drjoeesposito.com, and on Amazon. Now, coconut oil, I talked about oil pulling. You could use sesame oil for this too. Take the coconut oil because it's antibiotic, antiviral, and antifungal. Put about a teaspoon in your mouth and swish it around in between your teeth. And what happens is you're pushing through your teeth something that's antibiotic, antiviral, and antifungal, and it helps fight infections. Now, I have a crown and a root canal. There you go. That's what I'm thinking for. The root canal. And with the root canal, you're always going to have a low-grade infection. That's just how it is. And dentists are taught that you always have a low-grade infection for the rest of your life. And every now and then, my root canal acts up a little bit, and I don't know what to do about it because it hurts. So one of the things I found that works really well is I just take a teaspoon of coconut oil and swish it around in my mouth. You can do it up to 20 minutes. Now, I can't do that. I go about 10 minutes, and it gets a little gaggy on me, so I got to spit it out. Don't spit it down your sink because coconut oil hardens when it cools, and you'll clog up your pipes. So spit it outside, spit it in the trash, and I do that for about 10 minutes, and after usually 2 or 3 days, I feel great. So coconut oil is very good for that as well, but make sure you get organic, extra virgin. You don't want the processed kind because then it can have chemicals in it as well. But coconut oil is great externally as well as internally. I usually take about a tablespoon a day because it's antibiotic, antiviral, antifungal. It has medium-chain fatty acids in it, which are good for my immune system. It has lauric acid. Lauric acid is found in breast milk. It's one of the few sources you can get that isn't breast milk. hard to get at our age. And coconut oil has it. So coconut oil really is something good that you want to add to your diet if you can, because it's going to help you on so many different ways. And once again, it's going to help you feel full. Because so many times we eat, and we're eating a plant-based diet like I do, you feel hungry all the time, you're just not satisfied. It's a great lubricant. I'm going to try to keep this clean. It's a family show, especially as people get older. It's a good lubricant for external and internal uses. Follow my drift. So make sure it's organic. Make sure it's extra virgin, because that's the good stuff. Otherwise, you're going to get chemicals in there. Let's go back to the callers. 844-44 Dr. Joe if you have a question. Mike, how can we make your day better?
Hey, Doc. How you doing, bud?
I'm glad you called.
Just recently started listening to your show. I think it's phenomenally awesome, but I have problems now. I need your help. I have back problems, lower back problems to be exact, on the lower right side. I do have restless leg syndrome. I believe that's what it is. And it's affecting my ability to exercise, and I'm feeling it in my knees now.
Sure.
Pain in my knees and my legs now. What can I do about it? I'm relatively young. I'm 34 years old. I've always been healthy, but kind of gotten out of whack here lately.
Yeah, I have socks older than you, Mike. So I actually still have. I just found it the other day. I was on a swim team in high school. I still have my bathing suit from when I was on a swim team. Doesn't fit like it used to. I don't know why, but it just... Anyway, I digress there. Okay, the restless leg syndrome, the back pain, that's usually due to pinched nerves in the low back. And like the caller before, a pinched nerve in the low back, hip, leg, knee, foot pain, restless leg, numbness, tingling. That nerve also controls your colon, sex organs, and bladder. So if you don't have it yet, chances are you might start to develop gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, urinary, romantic issues, all coming from the low back area. So,
I'm there. I have performance issues. I'll leave it at that.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, when I first got into practice, 35 years ago, I started school, you didn't see performance issues except in old men. And now we're seeing it in younger men. So it's not just the pinched nerves, it's also the chemicals we're exposing ourselves to, what's called estrogen receptor site stimulators or hormone disruptors. And you get that from plastic, hairspray, any type of artificial smells, carpet cleaners. So you got to be real careful. Anything that isn't a natural deodorant or a natural smell, you got to get out of your life, because that can disrupt your testosterone estrogen issues, and then you have a pinched nerve on top of it. You got a double whammy. So,
well, I always thought too that because I know some of my brothers have called degenerative disc disease, I believe.
Yep.
And I've always had back problems here or there, but I've never really experienced an issue till the past few months.
Right.
I started Prozac. I gained weight with Prozac, and now if I lay on my back in my bed, I can't. I have to sleep on my stomach because I can't on my back because it's so weak. It hurts to even put on my socks.
Yeah. And if you don't fix it, you're going to get degenerative disc disease because the bones are out of place, pinching the nerves, and the bones are out of place, rubbing up against each other.
Tell me you can fix it. This is why I called you. Tell me you can fix it.
I can't promise anything because that's illegal, but I can tell you that after 32 years of practice, the chances are really good we can fix something like you, especially being that you're so young.
Okay, so can I make? And I know you have different offices,
right?
I from one Paisan to the other.
Yes.
Which office can I come to that you can help me? Is that doable?
What we usually do is have the new patients come to Marietta on the first visit, and then you're closer to our Stockbridge office. We just transfer you over to Dr. Dave, who's also a Paisan, and he'll take care of you from there.
Okay. And you guys accept health insurance, right, and all that kind of stuff?
Yep, we accept health insurances, almost all of them. In fact, all of them we work with one way or another. So, so we'll work with you.
Doc, listen, and if I could get your help tomorrow, I'll call tomorrow to make an appointment.
Perfect.
You can help with nutrition stuff too while I'm there?
Every patient gets a nutritional evaluation. Yes, sir. We've been doing this for a long time. We'll get you all fixed up, Mike, and rocking and rolling like you were when you were young.
Doc, I appreciate it. You have a great evening, bud.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. And, folks, the number 844-44 Dr. Joe rings through to my office when I'm not on the air, 844-44 Dr. Joe. Now, if you're not in our listening area, if you just want to do a nutritional consult over the phone, I say just. If you want to do a nutritional consult, we can always do that over the phone as well. So 844-44 Dr. Joe. Folks, if you have a question, we have a few lines open, 844-44 Dr. Joe. Get you through the studio now. Pat, how can we make your day better?
Hey, Dr. Joe. I've used your products, the Super Greens and the Essential Source, for over a year now. Like them.
Excellent.
I've also read your book, Eat Right for Your Blood Type, and you were talking about the avocado oil,
Yes.
the omega-3s in that, and then the coconut oil. Well, both
Right.
of those for my blood type are not recommended.
Right.
So is there a substitute that I can use?
Yeah, I didn't write Eating Right for Your Blood Type, first of all. So
Okay.
that was another author.
Okay.
There's a lot of good oils that you can use. In fact, in my new book called Prescription for Extreme Health, we cover the good types of oils. So you can do a sesame oil, which is great. You can do a walnut oil, an almond oil, the olive oils. So you can find oils that work real well for you. And so there's plenty of oils out there that are good. Okay?
Okay.
Great. All right,
All
got to
right.
go to a break, Pat. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks. You bet.
Folks, if you have a healthcare question, 844-44-Dr. My website, drjoeesposito.com. Oh, the theme from the God. There's a Godfather marathon on a couple of days ago. My favorite movie ever. God, love that movie. Folks, website, drjoeesposito.com. If you want to make appointments, get Super Greens, Essential Source, order books, send me questions, listen to radio shows, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, everybody, thanks for listening. I do appreciate you taking time out of your day. Everybody's busy, and I know it's a stretch sometimes for folks to get a little time to listen, so I do appreciate that. We're talking today about fats, the good fats, the bad fats, and the fats you want to add to your diet, fats you want to take out of your diet. And I would be remiss if I didn't discuss omega-3 fatty acids. I really need to go into that a little deeper. Now, the number one omega-3 fatty acid source for omega-3 fatty acids, what is it? Fish oil. Everybody talks about fish oil, and they want to eat more fish oil, and they got to eat fish. And this is one of the ironies of this. So I got to blow away some of your myths on this. Fish oil, omega-3 fatty acids, good. Well, omega-3 fatty acids, good. Fish is not a good source of omega-3 fatty acids because many times the omega-3s are contaminated. If the fish lives in, I don't know, the water, chances are it has mercury, lead, polyvinyl chloride. We're finding radiation now. Ever since Fukushima melted down in Japan, nobody talks about that anymore. But guess what, folks? That radiation can get into the fish and cause damage. It can alter the molecules of the cells in the fish. So if you're going to eat fish, I recommend you eat wild-caught only because farm-raised fish don't have nearly the amount of omega-3 fatty acids that the wild-caught does. So farm-raised, not a good idea. Fish don't produce omega-3 fatty acids. Fish get it from eating smaller fish who eat smaller fish who eat algae. Algae is the purest form of the omega-3 fatty acids in what's called the DHA and EPA form. Plant sources of omega-3 fatty acids like hemp seed, chia seeds, those are ALA form. ALA has to be converted into DHA and EPA for us humans to use it. So the problem is that most of us, if we're not healthy, and a lot of us aren't, cannot do the conversion. And so you want to be able to do a good source of omega-3 fatty acids that don't have the risk of mercury and contaminations. So you might want to consider krill oil. Krill are kind of shrimp-like creatures, and they also have the DHA and EPA form of omega-3s, but they're smaller. They don't live as long, so they're not going to have as much contamination. I wouldn't do that either, but I don't eat animal products. So I do an algae oil. Now, in my super greens, we add chlorella and spirulina, which is a great source of omega-3 fatty acids. There's your algae right there. I also take about another gram of algae oil every day, and because you need the omega-3 fatty acids. So I do that every day as part of my supplement protocol. I take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source absolutely, positively every day. In fact, just before I came on the air, I was just finishing it up and wiping it off my mouth because I was drinking it here in the studio. It's powders. I mix it with coconut milk or almond milk. It tastes great. And boy, I tell you, when you start taking it, it's every week. I was talking to my marketing director, Mary, and she said every week, Dr. Joe, more and more people are ordering it on the website. So it's really cool. And she just ran a special. If you spend so much, you get free shipping and stuff. So Mary's wonderful. But you got to get the omega-3 fatty acids. And even with the super greens, I still take an additional supplement of algae oil. Now, why doesn't everybody just take algae oil? Well, it's expensive. So cost-wise, the balance between fish oil and algae oil would be krill oil. But I would suggest you make sure you get a good quality oil as well, because if oils are damaged, they're rancid, they're going to cause more damage than good. So we can do plant-based omega-3 fatty acids. I mean, even romaine lettuce has omega-3 fatty acids in it, but your body has to be able to convert it. Most of us aren't healthy enough to do that, which kind of segues nicely into my next caller, Lisa, how can we make your day better?
Oh, hey there. Well, what I've been dealing with is I ate a raw vegan diet for about a year and a half, and that was a few years ago. I kind of then segued into just vegan and, not all raw. And then now I've also started adding in like plain yogurt, eggs, a few things like that, only because I was feeling weak. And I just feel like my muscles are weak. Everything just feels more weak. And I'm wondering if you have any other suggestions, because I don't mind going back to plant-based, but I just don't know if I need to be adding something in that I'm not getting in my diet.
It's a great question, Lisa. Now, it's not just plant-based people that get weak. A lot of people that eat a carnivore-based diet are also very weak, too. So we have to make sure we're getting enough nutrients in our body. So I take Super Greens, an essential source, of course. How old are you?
You have to ask.
I don't know
I'm turning 50
you.
next month. I'm turning 50 next month.
Oh, come on. You're
It's
just
a
a
sore subject.
child. You're just a baby, Lisa. So as we get older, many times our adrenal glands start to poop out. The adrenal glands produce adrenaline. They produce pregnenolone, which becomes DHEA, which is your sex hormones. And if we're under a lot of stress, we're not producing the sex hormones. We're producing cortisol. And cortisol is our stress hormone, which can make us tired. So chances are, no matter what kind of diet you have, as we get into the 40s and 50s and 60s, our adrenal glands need a little help. So I take something called Eleuthero and Withenia. I take that every single day. Those are plant-based sources of herbs that help my adrenal glands function normally. So I would do that. Start with the Super Greens, the essential source, and add some good fats, and let's see if that helps.
What did you say they're called? Eleuthero and
Eleuthero and Withenia. Okay. If you want, send me a message through my website because I got to go to a break. Okay.
Okay.
So, folks, my website, drjoeesposito.com. You can order Super Greens Essential Source. Also, a lot of things available on Amazon. My Super Greens Essential Source books, they're on Amazon if you have an Amazon account. If you want to make an appointment or just send me a message, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, folks, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, thanks for tuning in today. I do appreciate that. And, it's a lot of fun, actually. I was just talking at the break. I was talking to Rachel, our screener. And we were talking about I did a live remote the other day. And it was such a blast because when you're in the studio, it's a lot of fun. I mean, being in the studio is a blast. But when you're outside meeting the public, it's so cool because people run up to you and say, "Oh, my gosh, you're Dr. Joe. Oh, it's so cool to meet you." And it's always so nice to know that people are out there listening. They want pictures taken. And it's funny because people always say, you sound short on radio. And I have no idea what that means. But I've heard that all the years I've been on radio that I sound short. I'm actually about 6'1". But for some reason, people think I sound short. And I don't know why. I have a good diet. I've grown a good amount there. So we're talking today about fats, good fats, bad fats. And I want to talk a little bit about the plant-based omega-3s because this is where some confusion comes in. Studies show that omega-3, the alpha-linoleic acids, the ALAs, which your body transforms into longer-chain fatty acids, can help with skin conditions, atopic dermatitis, psoriasis, systemic lupus, the immune system. So the ALAs are not bad. They're good, but you really want to be able to convert them into the DHA and EPA as well. So it's good to have both. And what you can do is take a few teaspoons of freshly ground flaxseed and mix it in. You can mix it in with Dr. Joe's Super Greens or Dr. Joe's Essential Source. But here's the thing. If you're going to do flaxseed or hemp seeds or chia seeds, I want you to grind them yourself because a lot of people buy them pre-ground. And as soon as you grind the seed, they start to oxidize. And when they oxidize, the oils break down, and over time, they can become rancid. So if you don't have a grinder, you probably have a coffee grinder laying around. You know my feelings on coffee, not my favorite thing. So you can use your coffee grinder to grind the seeds and then mix it in with a smoothie or something along those, like the Super Greens, Essential Source, coconut milk, throw some of that in there. A lot of fiber, too. So if folks have trouble going to the bathroom, your bowels should move 2 to 3 times a day. Yes, a day, not a week. And if your bowels aren't moving 2 to 3 times a day, you can do that. I also have another product. It's called Dr. Joe's Intestinal Cleanser. And that stuff is great. If your bowels aren't working properly, take the intestinal cleanser, very gently starts to get the bowels back to normal again. And then once they're back to normal again, then you cut that out. Like Super Greens and Essential Source is something you take forever, I hope. But the intestinal cleanser, you don't want to take forever. You want to get the bowels healthy. And as so many patients have called in today, well, listeners have called in, people with pinched nerves in the low back, those nerves control the bowels. And many times when you have pinched nerves in the low back, it can affect your body's ability to detoxify and go to the bathroom. Let's go back to the callers. Lots of callers today. John, how can we make your day better? Still there, John? Hello, John.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. There you are. Okay. Yes.
Yes. I have this chronic pain that goes from my upper tricep to my neck on the back of my shoulder.
Sure.
And I've tried chiropractic, I've tried physical therapy, tried needling, and nothing seems to help. It will go away for a while, then it comes back. And I generally live a very healthy lifestyle, but I can't figure out why that keeps doing that. And I try to work out to keep it strong, but it's still, there's always there's little kind of a discomfort all the time.
Sure. Right side or left side?
Left side.
Left side. Okay. So with right side, I'd say you might want to start looking at your liver and gallbladder. I have a similar condition. My lower left side hurts, and it goes across into my shoulders. And it's because I injured my neck so bad when I was young. I played football and hockey and street fights and did stupid things. Just because one therapy didn't work, that doesn't mean the therapy doesn't work. It might mean the therapist didn't work. So that goes for chiropractic, physical therapy, dry needling. So just because you might want to try another chiropractor, another physical therapist, I would try chiropractic first and make sure they know how to adjust the shoulders. Because many times the shoulder comes out of place and we keep adjusting the neck, you got to put the shoulder back in place as well. So if they don't know how to adjust extremities, find a doctor who does know how to adjust extremities and see if that helps. And then also you might want to try acupuncture. Because I've had some cases where I've worked very closely with my acupuncturist, and we work together on the cases, and we get some great results. So I would say a different chiropractor who knows how to do extremities. If that still doesn't do it, let's go for acupuncture.
Perfect.
Thanks
Thank
so
you very much.
Yeah, it's funny with acupuncture years ago. Years ago, chiropractic was poo-pooed, and now, of course, it's mainstream. And I remember acupuncture being, airy-fairy, weird stuff, and now it's being taught in medical schools and chiropractic schools. I'm discussing it. And so it's really kind of cool that the things that we always said, were, not mainstream have now become mainstream. And that's why so many of the things we talk about on this show will become mainstream. I promise you. In fact, I have a stack. I've been threatening to do this for a long time. I have a stack of notes. Whenever a new study comes out that proves that I was right from years ago, I put it in the Dr. Joe was right column. And it's a file that I have, and someday I just got to do a whole show on Dr. Joe was right, that I talked about this year, and 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 years later, it turns out that it's mainstream. So there's really no downside to getting healthy. It's less expensive, because people say, oh, it's so expensive to get healthy. No. So with the new health insurance policy, so many of the policies, we're in network with a lot of them, and your deductible and your copays are more than I'm ever going to charge you. So it's cheaper to just come see us, and you'll never even get to your deductible. You never get to your deductibles met. And so that's the thing that everybody's yelling and screaming about this insurance and Obamacares. And folks, you got to take control of your own health. If people come in and say, well, my insurance, I haven't met my deductible yet. I don't want to come see you. What a silly statement to make. You're going to suffer because you haven't met your deductible. How about you just come see us and get well and don't worry about ever having to meet your deductible? Because hopefully you never will, unless it's a catastrophic issue, of course. So I get a little emotional when I start talking about insurances because so many people think the insurance company says, I can't do this. I can't have this surgery. I can't have this physical therapy. I can't have this chiropractic. No, they're not saying you can't have it. They're just saying they're not going to pay for it. It's a big difference. So when you take responsibility for your own health, get your diet straightened out. If you have heartburn, acid reflux, burping, gas, bloating, many times that's your stomach pushed up against your diaphragm. And we need to manually adjust or pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. Not a lot of doctors do this. We get people from all over the world come to see us. But I tell you what, when you fix somebody's digestive system and they're able to break their food down properly and absorb nutrients, it's a whole new world. And when you fix somebody's low back and the colon, sex organs, and bladder work, you fix their neck and the heart and lungs start to work. It's really pretty amazing stuff. Now, I'm not saying I can fix everything, but I'm saying I feel that it should be a mainstream port of entry. Get your nervous system working, your digestive system working, and your nutrition straightened out. That should be step one, unless it's a life-threatening situation. Then if that doesn't work, and it usually does, by the way, then we can go on to more aggressive techniques. I'm not against drugs or surgery. I have doctors I'm speed dial. I can refer to in a heartbeat. But I like to try to do a conservative approach first and then get a little more aggressive. All right, let's go back to the callers here. We've got lots of callers. Steve, how can we make your day better?
Thank you for taking my call up.
What's going on?
Well, first off, you just said you couldn't fix everything, but I think you're pretty close.
I agree with that.
I have low testosterone, low DHEA, testosterone around 70, and DHEA is even lower. the doc put me on shots for the testosterone and pills for the DHEA. I just wanted to know what else I could do because I really don't like the shots, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. Okay, so when it comes to hormone replacement therapy, I'm going to kind of spin it into this direction. It's going to answer your question. May have to go to a break soon. So, you know what? Can you hold on? I want to get you after the breaks. That's a real good question. Can you hold on for me? All right, hold on. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. If you have a healthcare question, give us a call here at the studio, 844-44-DR-JOE, DRJOE. That number rings through to my office when I'm not on the air. My website, drjoeesposito.com. You can order Super Greens, Essential Source. You can order a lot of things on Amazon as well. If you have an Amazon account, it would make it easy for you. But you can make appointments. Just come see us, listen to radio shows, videos. It's all there. Great source of information, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, folks, don't go anywhere. Tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, thanks for listening. Do appreciate that. And we're talking about fats and good fats and bad fats and omega-3 fatty acids and coconut oil. But before I go back to that, I want to finish up with Steve here. Steve, you still there?
Oh, yes, sir. I'd wait an hour for you.
Oh, you're a smart man, Steve. I like that. So what we're talking about is you have low testosterone, and the doctor was giving you shots of testosterone, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, again, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not telling you to take drugs or not take drugs. But the testosterone they're giving you is never exactly the same as yours. In fact, my testosterone is a little different than Rachel's, who's a little different than Ahmad's, who's different. So everybody has a little different testosterone structure. And so whenever you put an outside source in, it's never identical. So in cases like yours, and I'm getting older too, so I want to make sure my testosterone levels are high, is I'd rather have my body make more testosterone.
Correct.
And testosterone is made essentially in two places, your testicles and your adrenal glands. So there's supplements you can take to help the testicles. And one of the things that seems to work real well is called a glandular. Now, glandulars are, if you eat the gland of an animal, it's going to feed your gland. So if you have a heart condition, and this goes back to ancient times, if you had a heart condition, you ate the heart of an animal. You ate kidney, you have kidney problems, you eat a kidney. So you can do a glandular for testicles, which it's not something I would do, but some people do. I want to give all options on my show.
They're called mountain oysters.
There you go, Rocky Mountain oysters. There you go, right? So, but for the adrenal glands, I take, as I told the other gal called earlier, Withenia, which is called ashwagandha, and Eleuthero. And these are two supplements that feed my adrenal glands. So when I feed my adrenal glands, they're able to make my sex hormones, my cortisol, the prostaglandins that moderate inflammation. So for you, how old are you, Steve? You said 30?
No, I'm 54.
54, okay, got it. Okay, the other fellow was 30, that's right. At 54, we got to take care of our adrenals anyway. So I would recommend adrenal supplements, and I take them every day. And then the other thing that everybody seems to miss, too, is I would check the nerve supply to the adrenals. Because I played football for years, and I actually have a scar right over my 12th thoracic vertebrae. That's the nerve supply to my adrenals. And the scar was there, I think, because I just twisted my spine so bad that I actually stretched the skin. And so I have to get that checked from a chiropractic standpoint on a regular basis to make sure the nerve supply going to my adrenals is working. Then I take the supplements. Then I don't do the things that wear out my adrenals, which would be the 7 deadly sins: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener.
Should I keep taking the DHEA pills?
The DHEA is good because pregnenolone becomes DHEA, and then DHEA becomes your sex hormones. If you're under stress, your DHEA becomes cortisol, which is your stress hormone. So then you got to deal with the stress issues. So the DHEA is okay, but I'd rather nourish the adrenal glands from the internal to make its own DHEA as opposed to taking it from an outside source.
Correct.
Because if you take it from an outside source, eventually, with almost all drugs and supplements, your body says, oh, I don't have to make any more. I got plenty of it.
Well, Doc, the shots are working.
Sure.
But I just hate shots.
Yeah, and they do. Do they work? Yes. Is there a better way? My opinion, yes, there is. I'd rather have you make your own.
Correct. Okay.
So let's try that and see what happens. So check the nerve supply. And if you want to know those supplements, you can call the office. Withenia, ashwagandha, Eleuthero. If you call the office, ask for Kayla. She'd be able to help you out there and tell you which ones I'm taking.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate the call.
Bye.
See, I think I love the way Steve thinks. I'd wait forever for you. Hold on, at least an hour. So. That's very nice. Appreciate those nice words. So back to flax seeds. I just got a text from one of my friends. I was talking about grinding up. You should grind your own flaxseed and chia seed. And she says, gosh, are you kidding me? She goes, I've been taking flax seeds trying to do the right thing, and here I find out I have to grind up my own. And the answer is, yeah, sorry, you got to grind up your own. But it's fresh is always best. And so even after the seeds are picked and they're stored and they're shipped, there's an age to them. Now, if you ever do any type of oils, like I said, and they taste rancid, flaxseed, chia seed, or any type of oil, please throw it away. Don't put these things in your body because it's only going to cause problems. And ironically, we do need more fat in our diet, not less. So many times people go on this low-fat diet. We talked a little earlier about this. Of salad dressings that are low-fat or no-fat, not a good idea. Because when manufacturers remove fat, they've got to add something to make it flavorful. And what do they usually add? Well, sugar. So to put another way, low-fat or fat-free almost always translates into high sugar. Studies show that sugar can damage something called the collagen fibers in your body. And that can render them incapable of repairing and creating new fibers. And when sugar binds to proteins in your body, it creates something called advanced glycation end products. AGE, advanced glycation end products. Kind of funny, AGE, right? Ages you. And these AGEs prevent your collagen from forming. And so that can cause wrinkles in your skin. It could damage the spine. It can damage your joints. You're more likely to have bones move out of place, more likely to sprain or strain yourself. Strain, by the way, is a muscle. Sprain, by the way, is a joint, in case you never knew the difference. Figure throw a little orthopedic history in there for you. So we've got to be careful. I just got to stay away from the sugars, folks. I mean, is it hard? Yes, it is. I understand that. But was it yesterday? Today? Anyway, yeah. Just recently, I started my new thing. I always go through phases when it comes to food. And my new thing is cauliflower pizza crust. Now, you can go online and look it up. Just look up cauliflower pizza crust. And instead of using dough and flour, you take cauliflower and I put it in a food processor, grind it up. I add egg replacer because I don't eat eggs. But if you eat eggs, you can eat eggs. You put eggs in there. Make sure it's organic. And then I season it. I'll put rosemary in or some Italian seasoning, some vegan cheese, and I bake it. And then once it's baked, I'll add some tomato sauce and some vegan cheese and bake it again. Now, does it taste like pizza? A little bit. But I tell you what, it's great. Because a good pizza, I feel, it's not just the dough, it's also the sauce and the cheese. So it's a great conduit for cheese and sauce. And it's kind of a cross between pizza and like an eggplant parmesan, I guess, if I had to give it something to compare it to. But if I'm in the mood for pizza, I'll make this. It's quick, it's easy, it's cheap. And it tastes great. And now I'm not putting those breads or those flours into my body because that's like eating pure sugar. So you really want to stay away from that. Okay, we got a message coming in on Facebook. Dr. Joe, what can be done about eye floaters? That's a real great question. Eye floaters, a little protein that builds up in your eyes, and you'll notice it. Kind of break time? Oh, got to hold off on the eye floaters. Folks, got to go to break. If you can't get through to the studio, you can always call my office at 844-44-Dr. That number rings through to my office when I'm not on the air. My website for ordering Super Greens, Essential Source, books. We got archived articles that I've written, radio shows, videos, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, #1 Dr. Joe in the world. And it's also available on Amazon, a lot of my products. Hey, folks, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito, thanks for being here. Yeah, I just got a text from one of my friends who heard the last section. We were talking about prostate and testosterone issues, and he said, wow, and I've known this guy 20, 25 years now, and he says, wow, I never heard you talk about that before. So there's always new information coming up on the show. That's why it's so important that you listen. And if you want more, that's why I archive the shows. It's called a blog now, right? I have an audio blog. I always thought it was archives. And that's on my website. It's all free, drjoeesposito.com. And you could listen to shows and pick out topics that interest you. And we have videos. So whenever I do live lectures, I videotape the lectures. Those are on my website as well. Some people are visual learners. So there's lots to learn about. That's why the website's there. So anyway, back to Facebook. We had a question come in about floaters in the eyes. It's a protein buildup in the eyes. I have a condition called macular degeneration. My version of it is called drusen. And I went to an eye doctor a couple of years ago. He took a picture of the back of my eye and went, ooh, you've got really bad macular degeneration or drusen. It's a form of macular degeneration. He says, and chances are this is going to get a lot worse. And so the prognosis is not good. He says many people go blind from this. So it was a little shocking to me. And that's one of the reasons why I started creating Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, because I wanted to load myself with mega doses of antioxidants. And 2 years later, I went to the eye doctor again. I've told this story many times on the air. And he actually was shaking when he took my second picture of my eye 2 years later. And I thought it got worse. I said, oh, my gosh, what's going on? My vision is actually getting better. He says, no, it's improving. I've never seen macular degeneration get better in 30 years of practice, and now it's actually getting better. Went again this year. He has a new doctor in there. She looked at it, and she said, can I use your pictures? Because, again, it got better again, about 30% better than it was the 80% from the last time. And she said, can I use your pictures in a research study? Because nowhere in documentation does anyone ever improve the macular degeneration or the drusen. And I said, absolutely. And I said, and you should be sending every one of your patients to my website to get the Super Greens and the Essential Source. That being said, my floaters got better when I started taking the Super Greens and the Essential Source. Now, for my condition, it took me several years to rebuild my eye tissue. Now, I still wear glasses, but my vision hasn't gotten worse. And usually at my age, it usually stops and then gets a little better. But the vision is fine. My night vision is improving dramatically ever since I started the Super Greens and the Essential Source. So anyway, to answer your question about the floaters, cut out those heavy proteins, meat, dairy, cheese, butter, yogurt, ice cream. Increase your raw fruits and vegetables. Raw fruits and vegetables have enzymes, and enzymes are going to help break down and digest proteins, and that's why Super Greens and Essential Source are made mostly raw. And so every meal have something raw. Could be broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocados, because raw food has enzymes. And that really is what aging is all about, is keeping those enzyme levels high to slow down the aging process. And the only place we can get enzymes is from raw food. If you cook a carrot or if you cook a steak, above 110 degrees, enzymes are broken down. I cover that in my new book, Prescription for Extreme Health, and that's available on the website as well. Let's go back to the callers. Paul, how can we make your day better?
I wanted to know what I can do to restore my hair.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 32.
Oh, you're just a baby there, Paul. Okay. What happens is with hair, you produce something called dihydroxytestosterone, and that can clog up your pores. So one of the things that seems to work real well for this is valerian root. Valerian root, and I'm my number one guinea pig. And I started taking valerian root, and about 3 or 4 months later, a couple of my friends said, "Are you dyeing your hair?" I said, "No, I've never dyed my hair. I don't have any gray in my hair at all." And they said, well, your hair looks thicker and it looks darker. And so I started doing valerian root, but you got to cut out the bad foods too, Paul. And the bad foods are the 7 deadly sins: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. So eating more raw foods, valerian root is the thing I take for it. That seems to work pretty well. But again, when you start taking supplements, it's not like taking an aspirin, a headache goes away. It's going to take a few weeks to a few months before you start seeing it. And then you got to feed your adrenals, because the adrenals help control your testosterone levels.
Okay.
So that's where I would start with you, and that seemed to work well with me. And if it doesn't work, then get back to me. We'll see if we go into more advanced stuff.
Where can I get the root from?
If you call my office, ask for Kayla. We have the valerian root at my office. My grandfather was a German immigrant, and he came over from Germany in 1922 to get away from Hitler, and didn't have any money, didn't speak the language, but he came to work with America. And he was a carpenter, and he said, Joseph, always buy the best. It's always cheaper.
Okay.
So the reason I say that story is because he was an immigrant who had no money, didn't speak the language, came to America, but he said the best is always going to be cheaper. So you can buy cheap supplements, absolutely. And every time I read a study that says this supplement doesn't work or this supplement doesn't work, 100% of the time, they're using synthetic versions of the supplement. You want to get the natural version. So that's why I always get the best, and that's what we carry at our office.
Okay. So
right, Paul?
let me write down. You said what kind of root?
It's called valerian.
Valerian?
Valerian. Valerian, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And then I cut out on coffee and meat?
Cut out your alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Absolutely. Because if you're only 32 years old and losing your hair, you got to act quick. Because the hair loss is a warning sign. It's telling you something's wrong.
Right.
Like I started... when I started going gray, I had a hair analysis done. I was low in selenium. Took some selenium supplements. That was my warning sign telling me something's wrong. Okay.
What can I replace the coffee with? I don't take beer, but I take some milk like every day.
Yeah, I wouldn't do milk. If you can do almond milk, coconut milk, cashew milk. I wouldn't do cow's milk. No, it's a lot of steroids and hormones and chemicals in a lot of the milk you're drinking.
Okay.
Okay?
And what can I replace the coffee with?
Coffee's tough. If you're drinking it for the caffeine, if you start drinking a lot of water, you're going to find you get your energy back. But you can start doing tea or mate. Mate tea has coffee is the most caffeine, then mate is next, and then regular black tea is next. So maybe go from coffee to mate, M-A-T-E, and then from mate tea to black tea, and start to wean yourself off it.
And then I leave milk completely, right?
I would give up milk completely, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I don't drink any beer.
Oh, I don't either. Good. We have a lot in common there, Paul. All right, my friend, thanks so much. I appreciate it. And see, folks, what I want you to consider with health problems is every health issue you have, look at it as a warning sign. It's telling you something's wrong. And you can, A, treat the symptoms, which sometimes is not bad. If I have a headache, I'll take an aspirin. But B, I want you to consider, why do I have this warning sign? And what do I need to do to change to get to the cause of the problem and not just treat the symptoms? And when you start looking at your health care like that, it doesn't matter how big your deductible is. It doesn't matter what your copays are, because chances are you're not going to have to use a lot of it anyway. And if you do have to use it, well, then I want you to have it there for you. But remember, this whole big argument about health care is not about health care. It's about health insurance. And the best insurance you can have is take care of yourself. Have a normally functioning nervous system. Have a normally functioning digestive system. Get good nutrition. Eat the right foods. It's a whole lot cheaper than eating bad foods. And when you have the normally functioning nervous system, normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition, now you have a healthcare plan. Folks, if you have any questions you didn't get on the air, you can send them to me through my website, drjoeesposito.com. You can get Super Greens, Essential Source there, also available on Amazon. And if you want to get through to my office, 844-44-DR-JOE when I'm not on the air, 844-44-DR-JOE. Hey, folks, thanks for listening. Tell your friends about the show. We'll talk to you next time. Tell your friends about the show. We'll talk to you